It's time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnett Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
What will be your last redemptive act? I'll take that one.
Yeah, you better, because I don't have a clue. But after you say something, I might. My last redemptive act.
What will be my last redemptive act? Surrender.
Oh, man, that's great. That is so great.
I am not sure that I can do that yet.
Yeah.
But at some point, and maybe I am at that point, I don't know. At some point I will surrender thinking that I know.
Yeah.
And it will also be a request that I am making now, not for the first time, but in real time, to lift what are the final blocks. There's a paradox, many paradoxes, but there's a paradox that I operate from a belief system. What is true for me is that I create my own reality 100%. I am the author of it, out of my beliefs and thoughts and decisions and choices and attitudes and feelings and my desire and my expectation and my imagination. These forces, tools, and energies, they combine to produce the illusion that I call the dream that I'm becoming increasingly more lucid in, called reality. And at some point, I am beginning to understand. I create my own reality, and the next truth is that I don't. That a higher octave of that is that I co-create my reality. I create it by saying no to things until finally I am able to more and more allow in the receiving and the yes. So the ultimate surrender is to know that the blockages that I have, the hooks that I have to prevent me from receiving, to keep myself safe and on the known, and what we call on the show the reservation, that I won't be able to get off of those ultimately all by myself. That the first step into a co-creative experience is to surrender and to say, I create it all, and I create a willingness now to be healed. I need help. I need help. I want help, and I am asking for help as a birthright.
Yeah,
it's not a hubris, it's not an arrogance. And then my redemption is the degree to which I honestly and innocently and willingly receive that help, which is available every moment, full time, all the time.
So it's interesting. When I was 33, my cousin, who I grew up with 7 weeks apart, died of cancer. And in his final days, I went down. They were in San Diego. That's not where they normally lived, but they were doing some treatments in Mexico that were not legal in the United States, so they had to go down across the border to have these treatments done. And his wife called me and said, I'm completely overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. Can you come down from L.A. and watch Ren? Ren's his name. Was his name? Is his name. And I said, sure. So I drove down there, and I spent this evening with him. And he was dying. And we had this incredible... He was up all night in pain. And I was regulating his drugs and whatever else, and I had this ridiculous conversation with him. It was one of the most amazing conversations I've ever had. And so what comes to mind, because the idea of the last redemptive act, and I love that you said surrender, because that's the quality in the experience. and a lucidity. All of that came as you were talking. I'm like, that captures that moment in time. What's fascinating is the next morning he had no idea when we were talking about what he'd said, and he claimed that it was the drugs. Well, I was on, whatever drugs, and I was giving him drugs, so yeah, he was on some morphine, whatever else. But I've often thought about that moment, and I've wondered about it personally, like, if I was going to, like, I've been scared of the pain of death, like the pain, like the amount of pain I saw him in freaked me out. I was like, wow, he's in so much pain. I don't want to ever go through, dying, take me quick. I don't want to go through all that pain. But what the pain offered him was the opportunity to surrender. And what happened when he surrendered, because I understood that he was ready to die. Like, we're up at midnight and he's basically telling me I'm ready to go. And then he downloaded all this stuff about life. And there's a couple of, I know we've talked about archetypes. I don't want to go far into it, but there's a thematic piece. In Shakespeare, these great characters, I think of Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet, gives the Queen Mab speech, and then he dies. And these people have a certain epiphany where they just get something that's profound, and then they don't need to be here anymore. And I had, this is weird or it's not weird, I don't know how folks take this, but I had this sense, because after that night I remember telling Jasmine, because we had this hope that this treatment in Mexico would save him, I said, I think he's done. I don't think he's going to live. And I don't know if it was a day or very shortly after we got back from San Diego, we got a call that he had passed away.
And you'd made peace. You surrendered.
And I did the eulogy at his funeral. And I said the same story, and this is what I talked about, though I didn't have the same wisdom, I think, well, maybe, who knows? I can't tell you what happened other than it was profound for me. So that's what comes to my mind when we talk about the last redemptive act. And I love the idea that it is surrender. That's a beautiful, beautiful answer.
Well, that was quite a back and forth. So I thank you for that, and given me a lot to think of. And as always, I love these podcasts. I love where we go. I love where we wander. I love where we find ourselves at the end. We hope that our listeners have enjoyed wandering with us. If you did enjoy the show, please feel free to pass this along and to come and see us on our Facebook page and on our website at www.cuttingedgeconsciousness.com. And until then, we thank you. Bye.